Okay, in the new episode of Denim and Leather podcast, we have a legend and one of the musical vocal idols that I had back in the day, because it was a huge influence on us, because I have a band. And thank you for all the music in the 90s and the early 2000s. Ralf Scheepers from Primal Fear and X from Gamma Ray. Thank you for coming, Ralf.
Thanks for having me. Thanks. All good.
Yeah. I reintroduced your music back. I mean, I used to listen to you a lot, but I was reintroduced by when you did the single with Scarlet Aura from Romania.
I remember, yes.
Yes, they're my friends, and we live pretty close in the countries here. And I remember when they did that with you, and it was amazing.
People.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, Aura was our first guest on this podcast. So.
Cool.
Yeah, a year ago. So I wanted to start you in the beginning with you. How did you start with music? I don't know, what were you doing as a kid? You know, were you singing like a child or?
Yes, it started early. I mean, my mom always listened to music, and that's good. And on the radio, German Schlager music, and so this somehow was programmed into my settings, right? So, and I sometimes sung along with it, and it sounded great. So, my mom said, "Hey, you have a good voice. You keep singing." And so I was also singing in school then, when the teacher. It was always he gave grades for several things, and I was always singing. So I remember singing with "Come on the sloop, John B." Was somehow this traditional song, and it always gave me good notes, good grades, so good test results, and that was absolutely really somehow promoting me, and also giving me a lot of inspiration and a lot of a kickstart to keep going. And then we started to have this school band already in the same school. So I was singing through a plastic microphone and a radio recorder. That's how it all started.
This was probably
great motivation. It was a great motivation. The teacher had a good feeling of people who had talent. The same band Klaus Sperling was back then. It was the same class. So we started. It was a great motivation.
But that was probably in the 70s, right?
Yes, I was 16 already. How old were I? I was 71, yes.
Wow.
But 71, sorry, I was 71. It was in the 80s, so it was 80, 81.
Okay, very early 80s.
Yeah.
You're from Germany, but were you in the Eastern or Western Germany back then?
Western.
Yeah. That's why the heavy metal influence on you.
Yes, close to Stuttgart, yes.
I don't know if the Eastern Germans had heavy metal. It was.
I don't know if they were allowed. I mean, they had some rock music, the Pooties and stuff. So they were listening to Western music. So because you can't cut radio frequencies, you cannot cut sometimes.
Yeah.
Radio waves, and so how they listen to the West radio. I remember people telling me that.
Yeah. So it was it one of your first bands, the Tyron Space, that you released music with?
Yeah, actually, I mean, there was the school band, and there was another school band called Voltage with a guy from another school. He was my buddy from at home from football playing, so he was also starting with music, and we started this school band also for his school. The first band was really called Voltage, and then there was this always this band in Esslingen, Tyron Space, and they had a singer already, and they played the style of music I like, the metal stuff, the Saxon priesty stuff, and that's how I got connected to them, and they listened to my voice, they like my voice as well. So first of all, I was in another band in Stuttgart, Beast of Prey, never recorded anything, but then Tyron Space came up, and we recorded the first album then.
Were you a fan of back then of the German rock legends, Scorpions, Accept, and stuff like that?
Absolutely. I mean, I remember Taken by Force, the first album I had from the Scorpions, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath from Black Sabbath, and yes, Accept later. Then yes, well, somebody played that in. I remember I was out in the Freibad, we call, where people were sitting at the pool, and somebody played this Accept music. I think it was the song The Breaker. And I said, what's that? I said, well, that's Breaker. That's Accept. I said, wow, it's sounding really, that was really metal stuff, I like very much. And of course, Judas Priest. Then the 1978, listening to the live album all the time. That was pretty great kickstart into my metal career, you can say, because it really got the inspiration. Yeah, and it really somehow influenced me a lot.
Yeah, man. How was the 80s for you after Tyron Space?
Best era. 80s and 90s, I don't want to miss it, It was really great. I mean, there was so much learning, and it really was the first steps into the world for me as a musician with Gamma Ray then. That was already in the 90s then, but 80s, early 80s, late 80s with Tyron Space, we did the first little small tours in Europe already, Netherlands and back and so forth, and a lot of Germany. And we were supporting for Uriah Heep. I think there's no band in Germany which never supported Uriah Heep. So many bands supported Uriah Heep already. And I was there as well as a kid, so that was it was a great time.
Which album? Abominog?
I can't remember the album of Uriah Heep. I don't know. Yeah, all the classics they played, of course, Lady in Black and all this Easy Living stuff, that's always stick to my mind. Yeah. I mean, played in the radio and then suddenly you were a support band, it's great.
Great band. By the way, while we talked about Accept, I just saw you last summer in Bulgaria with Accept together on the bill.
Yeah, great guys as well. I mean, we're friends now. It all happened that we've got together the scene. Somehow we get to know each other in festivals and we hang out and have talks, and great guys. I mean, Mark is just an amazing singer and a great person. All the other guys as well from the sector. We always have a good time when we hang.
Yeah, man, it was great because Joel Hoekstra was playing guitar now with them, it was incredible.
Cool.
And you kicked ass, man. It was, I gotta tell you, it was the most powerful performance by Primal Fear at that day,
I appreciate it, thanks.
I was backstage, but I couldn't meet you. I just met Dino Jelusic,
Oh yeah, great guy. Yes, absolutely. That's a new generation of fantastic singer as well.
Yeah, incredible singer, incredible. Going to Gamma Ray, did you start late 80s with Gamma Ray or 90?
Actually, we recorded late 80s, starting 87 with Kai. I mean, I got to know Kai earlier. He was producing a band from Hamburg, and they were searching for somebody who could sing their stuff, and he got me in mind from Tyron Space. We were meeting several times occasionally, and then after producing this demo, he heard that I'm capable to do this in the studio, and then he left Halloween. And he was immediately thinking about me, and I was thinking about, why don't you just call him up and check if there's something going on? And exactly that's what's happened. It was 87, 88 when we recorded the first demos for Heading for Tomorrow. And then we were really rehearsing a lot. We were digging ourselves into the studio. And that was a long recording phase with for the first Heading for Tomorrow. I think it was 3 months. And at the same time, the wall came down in Berlin. It was exactly the same time when we were in Hanover recording Heading for Tomorrow. Oh, it was a part of history.
Oh man, great! Because I was a kid in the 90s, in the early 90s. At late 90s, at high school, I had all the albums from Gamma Ray. I loved it. I mean, it's a part of my growing up, into the metal music and everything,
Great.
I mean, I had hard rock music from my father, because he was used to be a hippie. Yeah. And I had all the Led Zeppelin, the Doors, and the Deep Purple. But in the 90s, I became a metalhead because of stuff like Gamma Ray, Halloween, Manowar, stuff like that.
Great, yeah. We all have our first bands we love.
Yeah. And at the beginning of Primal Fear, I mean, I remember one of the first times meeting Primal Fear music maybe was the Armageddon single when you released it. It was early 2000s, I think.
Yeah, it was the Black Sun album. Yeah.
It was the second or the third album, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was the fourth, because we had Nuclear Fire, which was somehow groundbreaking for us as well, because I cut my hair. No, but also because of music. And then after that, it was Black Sun with Armageddon. Great song.
Yeah. We as a band, me and my bandmates back then, in early 2000s, we used to learn to play from that song, man.
Yeah.
We played it in the garage.
Awesome. Cool.
Talking about that time, I see rumors about you joining Judas Priest, and I remember back then it was real, right? It was true.
I was on the short list. That's all I can say, and I never rehearsed, because then they found Tim, which is all good.
Yeah.
So Tim was the absolutely match for Judas Priest, and still now. I mean, he's still screaming his ass off. He's a great singer, and my buddy as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, everything was perfect, and of course I was disappointed, but I was on the short list among several singers. I don't even know the list of singers. And that actually was the time when I got apart from Gamma Ray, because I told them that I did my application for Priest, and they asked me what I would do when they want to have me, and I said I might go. And that was not good. Of course, it was somehow not a good thing for a band. But also Kaya totally understood all the time. And once again, I mean, this was a difficult phase anyway for Gamma Ray, because they wanted me to move to Hamburg. I had a job here in South Germany, as I was still working, because earning money for music and making a living from music was never easy.
Yeah.
Always also back in the time. So I had my job still, my family around, and I didn't want to move to Hamburg. And it was a different time. We could not record like nowadays, swapping files on the internet and composing songs on the internet. That's what you do nowadays. Not on the internet, but you know what I mean, swapping files.
Online, yeah.
And that was not possible, and they wanted me to move to Hamburg for the next album. And then it was the time when also Kai started to sing his songs again, and Dirk started to sing the song again. And I thought, I'm not so happy anymore. But that was a short phase again. I mean, then we went apart. It was all an accident somehow. And all of a sudden, I was not a singer anymore. I was somehow leaving and also fired on the same time. That's why I cannot really answer, did I leave or was I fired? It was just, we had this conversation that evening and went apart without any decision. So I said, well, I know the Gunner Ray. So I was giving myself a little bit of booze at night and told too many people that I'm out of Gamma Ray. And then it was the case. Anyway, a month later, I was hanging on the phone with Kai again, and we solved things. And Kai is a wonderful person, and I'm so grateful what I have from Kai. I mean, I learned a lot. This was the big step for me into the international world of making music with heavy metal. So I'm very grateful. I'm never that guy who is somehow bitching about people because of this or that. It's always good for me to have harmony, and so we sorted things out. And since then, we're friends again.
Of course, man. What is very weird for me, because I still have the band that I had back in the day. It was our highlight in our career, if you might say. We opened for Judas Priest and Halloween in 2015 in Belgrade, in Serbia.
Great, amazing.
It was, man, 8,000 people. For us, it was a dream come true,
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Yeah. So, heading down to Primal Fear, you created the band, right?
I was one of three. I mean, Matt, Tom, and I, and of course Klaus then. So it was actually 3-4 people. Klaus was asked, and he joined. And so to continue from the story, after the rejection of Judas Priest, I was doing nothing because there was no more Gamma Ray. Before that, I was in a Judas Priest cover band rehearsing songs for Judas Priest. And after that, there was nothing anymore. And then I visited Sinner, the band Sinner, in the studio, and Matt asked me to sing some background in harmonies, choirs, and then we sat together and said, "Hey, Ralf, Matt asked me, you can't do nothing, so let's compose some songs." And there was this record company from Japan, JVC, asking myself, whenever I have something, send it, and we give you a contract without even hearing it. And that was a good start for Primal Fear. So we had this JVC deal first in Japan, and we sent 4 songs. I remember it was Chainbreaker, it was Dollars, it was 9 Lives, and there was another one, like maybe it was Tears of Rage. It was 4 songs.
Yeah.
And then in Europe, companies also got to know that Scheepers and Sinner are somehow doing something together, and then they also wanted to sign us, and that was a good start for Primal Fear. So the first album was done really quick. I remember it was somehow 5 kilometers away from my home in the studio in summertime, having a good time in the studio.
Yeah.
Raw rock and roll, heavy metal stuff. And we hit the charts with on step 48, which was back in the days a little bit more of a number, because now they put down the numbers in terms of how many charts positions what chart position you could have from so many sales. Then they put down the number now, but back in the days that was a huge amount of sales, and that was great. I mean, always motivated us to keep going.
Yeah. So I mentioned you that I've seen the first single Armageddon from that 4th album. I knew the name Primal Fear, but I've never introduced. I was never introduced to the music, But now, looking forward, more than 25 years after, you're preparing a new album right now. This 25.
It's
right?
finished. It's finished, and it's going to be mixed in 2 weeks. So everything is prepared now. Jacob in Denmark, Jacob Hansen, has all the files. His assistant is now just assembling and collecting and consolidating all the files.
Wow.
Put it on the session, and in 2 weeks, Matt and I fly to Denmark mixing the album. And man, I mean, I always went step by step in my career, and also the career together with Matt. And I can really say this is a great album again. And I'm really happy. I mean, there's no musician telling the next one is not good, but I'm really convinced. If you're not convinced, you always say it's internal, is it good enough and shit, but that never happened for this new album, so I'm really happy.
Yeah, first time I heard that you're recording an album, Talia, the new guitarist, was at my show, I don't know, a few months ago. And she mentioned, when she entered Primal Fear, she mentioned that you're gonna be recording, but it was before the recording,
Yeah, she was joining when everything was composed already.
Oh, okay.
But then she did some solos as well, so yeah.
She's a good guitarist, she's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you guys gonna tour together with her? I mean, she's a part of the band, yeah.
Yeah, she's a fixed member now. Yeah.
Awesome. Wanted to ask you about the new album because you are preparing the new album, the mixing stage. Wanted to ask you if you can tell us the name of the album, or it's still
the name is Domination.
Domination. Okay.
It will be released September 5th, 2025, and there's going to be several singles dropped before. I mean, at the end of April, the first song "Far Away" is the first single, and then we're also recording videos in Sweden for the next single. That's how you work nowadays. You drop several singles before the big release.
Yes.
You know how it is, Just pour some sugar out there and make people somehow curious about the entire album.
Yeah. Some bands even do video singles of the whole album,
Yeah. I mean, it's also a matter of budget.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's also a matter of quality, and we always wanted to have good quality when we release something.
Yeah. I remember that when I saw you were back in the summer. You were with 3 different guys. I mean, they left before the recording of the album, right?
It was everything an accident. It's just, it was not easy when 2 people can get along with each other and all the other guys are just, don't find a solution. I can't change it. So I was having a good time with the guys in the band. We played South America late 2023, doing Japan in the beginning of 24, and so many festivals and touring last year. Of course, that is a good combination when you're on the road and going through thick and thin, and this is somehow a bond you have. But you know, there was always this different thing which was bleeding into Primal Fear, which has had nothing to do with money in Primal Fear, but you know, that was bleeding into Primal Fear. It was a personal thing in between two guys, and the other guys stick to one guy and I stick to my partner Matt. It was my decision to continue Primal Fear, and that's the most important thing for me, because it's not only on my arm, it's also in my heart.
Yeah.
And I like to work, to be honest, I love the way how we work. I mean, Magnus, Matt and I, we really have this certain way of productive working. It's really going fast, without saying we need to have a hectic in terms of composing or recording stuff, but it's just so fluid and so smooth how we work, and the results are so great. So that's also what I pretty much like, and that's I had several sleepless nights thinking about it, what I'm going to do. So I decided to continue.
Yeah, of course, man. That's the best. Like Lemmy said, better to continue with Motorhead than to start another band. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I was always intrigued by your style of music, because it is not concrete power metal, and it's a little bit mightier than heavy metal. I cannot define it. You know.
Just take it as maybe an old style. I'm not the guy, you know, I'm not the guy putting things into draws too much anymore.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So power metal, melodic metal, whatever metal.
Yeah.
For me, it's heavy metal, and for me, it's important to have melody, to have heavy guitars, pounding drums. Yeah, that's the energy and the feeling behind it, and of course, once in a while, some bombastic stuff and a good ballad.
Yeah, I wanted to say that it's pretty unique for me, you know, as a listener. It's not power metal that, in a sense, like the you know, the Swedish power metal, and it's not heavy metal like back then that was done in the 80s. It's more powerful than the heavy. So for me, it's very unique, you know.
Yeah, I mean, what I found out nowadays, so many bands sound similar. I don't want to, I mean, whenever something is successful, it's got the right to be there, right? But
yeah.
Sounding so much the same in terms of bombastic choruses and stuff, you know, and overproducing stuff, which is great. I mean, I like it sound-wise, but composing wise, it's getting more and more the same. I mean, it all started with, I mean, we were earlier than Powerwolf, but we have a totally different style. But this style started with Powerwolf, and so many bands somehow doing this. For
me, yeah. For me, it's.
I don't want to bash that. It's great.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, well, I mean, it's their decision, but I think it's getting too much.
For me, it's a little bit of. I mean, I've talked about it on the show. For me, it's a little bit of Eurovision metal when I hear that, you know.
Exactly. It's got the same style, and it's got somehow the same. It's getting more and more plastic.
Yeah. Even with the backing tracks when they're playing live, I cannot stand that, you know.
I don't want to bash it too much. I mean, you know. It's got the right to be there. Whenever it's successful, people listen to it. It's got the right to be there, so we got to accept. I mean, we remember the 90s when all of a sudden this Nirvana stuff came up, you know, and destroyed a lot of metal bands in the end. So it's everything is somehow alternating once in a while.
Yeah, moving forward and backward, and then again circling and stuff. Yeah, okay. What are your short or long-term future plans now, Ralf?
Short plans are mixing the album and recording videos, and having the first festivals already in May.
Oh.
So, of course, we're gonna rehearse like crazy with the new people, and because they got to learn all the back catalog and the new stuff, and I got to learn the new stuff as well. So it's a lot of work for us. So we will really close the door of the rehearsing studio and rehearse our asses off.
Yeah.
Until the first festivals. And lucky enough, these are only 45, 50 minutes, 60 minutes sets before we're heading to the big, huge tour in September, where we have a 90-minute set, where we dig ourselves, where we close the door again to the rehearsing studio and rehearse our asses off. But that's great, because like I said, we have these busy people in the band. Without saying the other people were not busy, that's and working great. That's whenever someone is hungry to do this, we can do it, no problem.
Amazing. I wish you only luck and everything you do it great musically. And I wish you with the new album and with the new tours, and I might catch you somewhere. And thank you for being a guest on the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me once again, and all the best. Say hello to Aura and all the other guys. They're nice people. I remember it was a great time. They invited me to their home, and we have this happy family feeling. The kid and everything was really great.
Yeah, I will say. Thank you, and talk to you again when you have some other album coming out.
Absolutely, all the time. You just contact me and we go for it.
Thank you, Ralf.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.